Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Wow, we have a Bantam 1000 plus reel that has arrived from my shop, and it's frozen. It just doesn't move. Spool turns a little bit, and we're going to try and make sure that we can fix this reel and get it back working again. And I think, quite honestly, I think one of the issues is right here. Looks like we have line that is entered under the spool, comes out over here. It's probably wrapped around that main spool shaft there, and that's probably a cause for this. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this reel completely apart. We're going to service it. Hopefully we'll identify what the issue is, and well, hopefully we'll get it back together again and out there fishing. So let's get started. While I take away the exterior pieces and parts, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. I cover all kinds of fishing reels and service. This one is for the service of a freshwater bait casting reel. Actually, this one's big enough it could be used in saltwater as well. And well, tomorrow we might have a spinning reel. The next day it might be a trolling reel. We just never know, which kind of makes it fun. And well, I enjoy the diversity of the reels that come in. I like working on all types. And I'm trying to share my experiences with you by allowing you to look over my shoulder in my shop to see what I'm working on and, well, how it comes together, how it comes apart, and how it gets serviced in between. All right, I'm going to pause the video just a moment. Okay, I've returned. I had a knock on the door, and yes, that does happen, and it does happen during filming. What can I say? All right, we're going to remove the E-clip here that's holding the handle sleeve onto the gear shaft. I better get some gloves on here. That's the E-clip I'm referring to. And when I take my pieces and parts off, they go into a parts tray. That enables me to keep track of them, particularly the small parts like that, that little E-clip there. All right. We had a little industrial accident there. I have a Band-Aid on my finger, so there's no sense getting some grease in there. And looks like underneath that E-clip, we have a little washer. That makes sense. Well, what do you do if you don't have a schematic to the reel? What do you do if you're working on that reel for the first time and trying to figure out a plan of attack? Well, one of the things you can do is take pictures along the way. Those pictures enable you to identify where the pieces and parts were prior to your disassembling them. And well, when it comes time to reinstall, you'll know where they are as well. I'm going to take some penetrating oil and just put them into the cavities here. There's no oil port, but there is a little cavity for that. And let's go see what we can find out here. My initial thinking is I've got line that's trapped under this. We remove it. Let's see if it turns without that. Yeah, see, it turns. So my thinking is that somewhere in here, all that curly-cued line got in the way of good performance. So it may just be that we get lucky here. We don't have any broken pieces and parts, and all we got is some bad line that needs to be replaced. I'm just going to trim that back a little bit. And to prevent that from happening again, I'm going to put a rubber band on that. Kind of hold that line in check while I'm doing that. And the back end of this, I believe, is a bushing. You do not need to take this side of the case off. Yeah, it appears to be a bushing. That might be a little sleeve for a bearing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a shot of oil in there. Please use fishing reel oils and greases when you lubricate your reel. We'll clean the spool on this side, clean the back end side. A little bit of fishing reel grease on the stud here, which is going to ride in that little corner. And while we have this open, I'm going to take the opportunity to use a little kitchen scrubby and some fishing reel cleaner. That's Penn's Precision Reel Cleaner. because I can now get in that case and clean up some of the film and the light that's been on the inside and living there. Doesn't take much. This rod and reel cleaner is actually a pretty good solvent, whatever it is. But it tends to get rid of all of that old stuff. And then just a quick wipe down with a paper towel generally will just sort of shine it up. So it's kind of a cleaner and a polisher. I like it. And results are good. Not a lot of effort to get it done. Check that pawl operation, make sure that's running fine. This one is certainly running fine. Move it over to one side so that you can gain access to the cap. This is a well-made reel. One of the earlier ones, probably late 1980s. And I enjoy these reels. I have the smaller version of this reel. And I like it a lot. I still take it fishing. Alright, that pawl has been removed, and you can see we got a whole pile of dirt and grease and grime and junk in here. We want to remove that. Check the teeth on the pawl, make sure that those are in good condition. And when you're satisfied that you got it right, go ahead and put it back in. Hold pressure on that and turn your worm gear so that it sets down. You can put that cap back on. Now when you do this, be careful. It's a plastic line guide arm. You don't want to over tighten. Snug it up, and then when a quick turn, and then just wheel it again. And we oiled the pawl. We can oil the worm drive. I'm noticing as I'm doing that, the worm drive's got a little bit of grease on it. So I'm going to put the paper towel down as I turn it away from me. That will enable me to clean up the old dirty dirt that's on that worm gear. Okay, now we're clean again. And of course I just wiped off the oils I put on there, so let's put that oil back on. Alright, this side is done. It's a matter of getting that spool in. Let's go over to the business side, find out what's going on over here. So the fortunate thing is that if the line was trapped, it was not trapped around the spool, so it shouldn't have damaged the spool shaft at all. And that's, of course, that's a good thing. I'll take the star adjuster off. It's a good place to take pictures. It will remind you later what's where. So in this case we have a star adjuster with a raised insert on the bottom, and it looks like all we have is a big plastic bushing or something to that effect there. Let's get the case off next, and we'll have a look at the inside. There's two screws that are holding the case on. I'll just put those into a separate part of my parts tray so that I know where they are when it's time to put them back together again. And we can lift up and out on that case now. And that shows the internal design. So just like the other one, there's a lot of dirt going on in here, so this is really a cleaning mission more than anything else. First thing I'm going to do is remove the two yoke springs, because I tend to lose those. And I'll remove that collar next, and underneath that collar you're going to see that there's a tension washer there that goes, well, there's two of them, and a flat washer. They go underneath this plastic collar. So I'm going to keep those and that star adjuster in the same place. I never seem to have any luck getting these main gears off. Of course, say that and make a liar out of you. Maybe I should say that all the time when I go to move these. This has the old style toothed dog anti-reverse. This is loaded in old grease, so we want to take care of that. And this just reminds me as I'm wiping this down, if you find yourself wiping down parts, always check that paper towel that you're using. And the reason for that is, well, there might be a washer or something on there. And if there is, you want to recapture that. You don't want to throw it away with the dirty towel. I've removed the sleeve so that we can grease the shaft after we clean it up. We have our yoke. Clean all of that up, and generally a paper towel will do enough of that cleaning. When you get your yoke, you're going to notice that there's a ramp side to this. It's not square, it's like a 45 angle. That faces in. You're going to notice that there's one side of the pinion gear that has a slot to accept the spool. That also faces in. And what I'm going to do is use some fishing reel grease now. This is Penn Precision reel grease for those of you that are wondering what grease I use. We'll get that greased up nicely. Find the ramp, find the slot, put the two together, and just put that off to the side for a moment. All right, it's time to get another paper towel here. Now, generally speaking, you do not need to remove this yoke assembly. You can if you like. This one's not sticking by any sense of the imagination. I'm going to flood this with some penetrating oil to act as a solvent. And use a Q-tip just to break that up. And wipe it down with a paper towel. Now, I don't use that penetrating oil as a lubricant. I only use it as a degreaser. You know, on the can it says it lubricates. I don't use it that way. Okay, we have a bushing on this side here. Just clean that out with cotton swab or something. And that's the back plate. Okay. Well, let's go put it back together again. These are click ratchets. This is going to fire back to reset the free spool. Lots of dirt and grease under there. Get that cleaned up. That faces down. The stubs face down on that. We're going to grab our brush, grease up our shaft. Going to put the shaft in so that the studs are down. There's a washer on there. Bring that over. Set that in just like that. Bring this back up. Okay, I probably should have moved that up a little bit. That's okay. We're going to put the anti-reverse back on. I'm going to aim that anti-reverse for the stud that it rides on right there. So this is a old style forked anti-reverse. When you're reeling your reel, it's going this way. You're going to get a click, 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 click. When you go to back pedal your reel, it's going to pull that in to stop it. All right, let's get into the drag set here. These are hard washers. You don't need to do anything with them. It's a hard fibered washer. First one goes on there, and I'm going to put the pinion gear assembly on now. Yoke and a pinion gear before I install the main gear. But before I install the main gear, which has a replacement washer in there, no wonder it looks so good. I'm going to clean off that main gear, get the old greases out of there, and check the teeth. Now, if you find that the teeth are clogged, go get a hard brush, pull through on the teeth, make sure that the old dirt and grease and debris are removed from that. When you're satisfied that that's clean, you can take your grease brush again and put a nice coating of grease onto those teeth. Well, if you have any questions on this reel or any reel, leave them in the comments section, and I will try to answer those questions for you. Generally speaking, I answer those questions in the morning before I enter my shop. And well, one of the worst ways to try and get me to answer a question is to call my phone that you see on the end there of the video on the business card, because, well, I don't answer that phone when I'm working on reels. Okay, for some reason we've got this doubled up, so what I'm going to guess here is that there was an original washer that was thicker, and this was substituted as a replacement washer. So we're going to leave it just like that. There's no harm, no foul in that. We'll see if that affects the performance. Remember, we had a performance issue where this was not working, but looks like this stuff has been on there a long time. Right, cap washer goes next. And we mentioned that we have a couple of things going on here. We have a flat washer. Flat washer. We have the tension washer, which is a bevel. We have the other flat washer. And we have the plastic cap. And that's as far as we can go on this before we put the side plate back on. Prior to putting the side plate back on, get the 2 yoke springs, which I generally forget. Make sure that the inside of the case is clean. It's not. There's some of that old grease in here. This appears to be an anti-reverse override here. So I'm going to put that into the off position there. Off position here. Or the on position here. I should be able to get this in nice and easy doing it this way. Well, I'm just looking and seeing that we could use that cleaner on this case too. This case has got a little bit of old dirt and debris on it. So let's see if we can't make that pretty. Can we remove this gas control cap here, maybe? A little bit of dirt in there. That appears to be a bearing, so we can put a little bit of oil on that while we're at it, but let's do that cleaning. Yep, put some oil there. And install the gas control cap. When you do this, make sure that it goes on square. It's easy to cross-strip these things and then you'll lose your gas control capability. Now we should be able to put this back on. Make sure you get that nice snap. Make sure that the seal on your case is tight. And get those 2 small screws which hold that assembly in place. Well, those of you that know me, watch my videos and know about small screws, hang on. The fun has just begun. Alright, got the first one in, luckily. See if we can go 2 for 2. Sometimes I can get that screw stuck on the end of my screwdriver and I have luck. If I rely on my fingers, that doesn't necessarily work all the time. Those are in. Alright. Next up, we want to put the star adjuster back on. Again, hand thread it, make sure that it goes on square. If you're having any issues with this whatsoever, stop and reset, because it's probably going on cross-stripping. Tighten it down by hand. Our tension washer is next. And our handle. Then we need the small washer and the E-clip. Now sometimes on these E-clips you can push these in with your fingers, like that. Sometimes you can't. So if you can't do that, use pliers. Same thing, make sure that you put this cap on by hand so that it's square. I don't think that's square. You'll feel it. If there's any resistance at all, chances are it's not going on properly and you're going to need to reset. Resist the urge to over tighten. That will almost certainly damage the threads. Find our lock down. One more screw here. Oh, I was almost getting lucky with those small screws. Okay, a little bit of grease onto the axle shaft for the spool. And we should be able to reset the case now. Tighten these down by hand. These are knurled. I think we're going to have this one back fishing again, giving it a second chance. So I think the core issue here was the line trap between the spool. I didn't see any damaged parts inside. That's always a good thing. All right. Now, even though these are hand tightened, I do generally like to just give it just the smallest of turns with the pliers. Just make sure they don't slip up. Let's give it a try. Oh, look at that, would you? Wow. It's a little noisy. I think we can do a little bit more here with this cast control. Well, we got two issues going here. Okay. Let's bring that in. Checking our cast control. So there's some roughness going on here. If I was to bet what that roughness is, my bet would be that it's a years and years of use. This wheel is probably 40 years old at this point. So you're going to feel that kind of tension in those gears. All right, that's it. That's how to take apart and service the Bantam 1000 Plus. A 1980s reel that, well, they can still go fishing. I hope you've enjoyed that. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you if you're a police, fire, safety, or rescue person. Appreciate everything it is that you do. And, well, I want to thank all of our subscribers and encourage those of us, or those of you out there that are not subscribers, to go ahead and subscribe. And if you do subscribe, please use that notification button. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, wishing you a great day, fun fishing, and, well, trouble-free fishing, because you're going to keep your reel serviced and repaired. Have a great day.